Lance Gooden, a member of the House Judiciary and Armed Services Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. What are your thoughts on this bill?
Well, at one point in the last month, Democrats got together and said, we've done too much at the border in the sense that we've opened it too much. People have come across and the American people are upset and they're blaming us. So what can we do? And so Chuck Schumer said, why don't we throw this bill on the floor? It won't pass. And then after it doesn't pass, we can blame Republicans. And then maybe Joe Biden can do something in the month of June. I predict Joe Biden is going to do something in the month of June that gives the appearance of caring about the border. But the American people know better. The American people know why this border is open. It's because he reversed Trump's policies. We're in this mess because of Joe Biden. No one in America with a brain believes that Republicans are the problem here. Everyone knows who started this mess, and everyone knows who has the power to fix it, and it's the president. And yet, Chuck Schumer looks you straight in the eye and says this is a great bill. You got Karine Jean-Pierre saying this is the greatest bill anybody has ever seen in terms of the border. Walk us through specifics on why this is a bad border bill so that our audience understands what specifically Republicans are upset about. Well, first of all, we don't even need a bill to fix the problem at the border. The problem at the border was under control when Donald Trump left office. The first thing Joe Biden did when he took over was he reversed policies. He reversed the Remain in Mexico policy. He said, let's send NGOs down to the border to pass out gift cards and welcome more folks at the border and send the message to the world that our border is open. All of these are things that the president did. And now here we are 2 years, 3 years later, and we've got Democrats saying, you know what, let's try to blame the Republicans here. Let's try to put up a border plan. We'll call it a bill and a border plan. But really all this bill does is it helps facilitate mass migration. It helps move along the processing of immigrants. It doesn't say, let's close this border. Let's stop the flow. It says after we get to a certain point, we may calm down the flows for a bit. There should be no illegal crossings across our southern border ever. Right. And yet Democrats seem to think that the American people are okay with some set number. There should never be law breaking in America. And every day we have law breaking at our southern border. We have an administration that refuses to follow and enforce the law, and they're blaming Republicans for it. And it's crazy, and the American people think it's crazy. And I think there may be one or two people with some level of intelligence in the White House that realize this is not working for them. And so I think they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and probably say, let's do something in the summer months so at least we can fool the American people into thinking we're doing something to secure them. You answered my question, but it was buried in there. I mean, you basically said the fact is this border bill allows, what, 4,000 or 5,000 people to come in before the administration could do anything in terms of stopping and closing the border. So 5,000 people a day on top of the 10 million illegals that are already in the country. For me, it really represents more of a national security issue. I mean, a lot of people are worried about, you know, illegal kids coming and replacing their kids, taking over schools, taking over buildings where American citizens are. But when you look at the actual national security unknowns, Fox News' Bill Melugin encountered a large group of mostly male migrants from all across the world. This was this week at the California border. Watch this.
Where are you guys from? What country?
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
India.
India. Where are you from?
Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
Turkey. Okay.
India.
India. Where are you guys from?
Turkey.
Turkey. Turkey? Where are you guys from?
China.
China.
Ecuador.
Ecuador? Where are you guys from?
India.
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 Iran.
Iran.
You're all from Iran. Why'd you come?
No freedom.
No freedom?
Yes, in Iran. Iran is a dangerous country.
We have no idea what their motivations are. Melugin also spoke with a California man who's been collecting all of the discarded passports that are being left at the border from the illegals. Watch this.
They're just dropping this stuff on the ground to come here and assume a new identity. So that's a little bit scary. With my military background and seeing the people that are coming across, that male, these are all military-age males. People keep saying that. I've got the proof right here.
He's got all those passports and driver's licenses right there. He says they're all mostly male and they're military age, Congressman. Just last week, 2 Jordanian nationals were taken into ICE custody after attempting to breach the Quantico Marine Corps base in Virginia. Who is tracking these people crossing the border? And do we know for sure that those 2 Jordanians got into America via the open border?
The answer is no one is tracking these military-aged males that are coming across our border, and it's scary as hell. And the Biden administration is refusing to do anything about this. The American people want to live in a safe and secure country, and we have military-aged men coming from nations that do not wish us well. China, Iran. These are places that we don't want folks coming unchecked across our borders, and yet you just showed a clip of men pouring across our southern borders. This is not about people from the Central and South America and Mexico coming for a better life. This is a serious issue, and we've got to do something about it. People are scared, and the American people expect the president to do something.
President Trump has been talking about this from day one, Liz, and getting slammed because he recognized the issue from day one.
Yeah, and Democrats want to put it on Donald Trump that he somehow stepped in the way of passing this extremely controversial bill. I don't think people understand that this is a bill that's more about immigration than it is about closing the border. If I were you, Congressman, and I wonder if this is possible, I would put on the floor something called Close the Border Bill. That's it. Nothing about the dreamers, nothing about how many people get in the border, across the border every day illegally, et cetera. Let's tell the American people what they want to hear,
right,
which is that Congress wants to close the border. That's what Donald Trump wants. That's what the Republican Party wants. The fact that some senators signed on to this bill makes me crazy because it is not a bill that in any way protects the American people.
He could come up with the bill, Liz, but it's not going to go anywhere.
We've passed the bill.
At least we could have the argument again, right? We can have the high
arguments
road
in the White House, and then you guys get rolled over.
There's that.
Well, the bill that you reference is H.R. 2. We did pass that in one of the first weeks of our majority. Kevin McCarthy was Speaker.
HR2.
We've been saying for over a year, we got to pass that. So Republicans have taken care of business in the House. Chuck Schumer in the Senate thinks the American people are fools. And President Biden, I believe, wants to continue to do business as usual. At the end of the day, it's going to take Donald Trump to fix this.
Well, we're going to hear from Trump tonight. President Trump is campaigning in the South Bronx tonight. The stop expected to draw both supporters and protesters. The event coming as Trump's New York trial is on pause until after the Memorial Day weekend. The jury will hear closing arguments next week. George Washington law professor Jonathan Turley wrote this in the New York Post that Michael Cohen's testimony left the prosecution of Donald Trump in tatters. But on MSNBC, an opinion piece claims Cohen's past lies make him a more credible witness. Okay? Yeah, connect those dots for me. That's what MSNBC in the op-ed says, that because he lied, he becomes more credible, Congressman.
Yeah, it's crazy. The American people, I believe, see right through this. President Trump and his legal team have really done a fantastic job. I don't know how this is going to end. I think it'd be tough to get a not guilty in Manhattan, but I think a hung jury is not out of the question.
Yeah.
And boy, would it be spectacular. So we'll see what happens. I believe we'll have an answer next week. And at the end of the day, the president.
But what about this long holiday weekend? Does this help Trump or hurt Trump that now Judge Merchan says, all right, everybody go home, we'll have a holiday weekend, and then we'll do closing arguments next week?
Everything about this has been nonsensical, so I won't begin to speculate. But it's been an interesting process, and I got to give credit to President Trump for hanging in there. He's made the best of it. He's got this rally in the Bronx, and I believe we'll have some answers soon. And at the end of the day, this will help him.
Congressman, thank you. Lance
Thank
Gooden
you.
joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.